Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin's trend indicators for the day. Currently dropping in at the 1 minute, and we're going to take a look at the question of, is Bitcoin being manipulated? Well, I guess that's another idea. Boom, so from the start of this, we just dive right into it, I guess, as some might like to say. Wait, are we even live? I can't tell. I'm assuming we're live. We're just going to roll with it. Yes, we are. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, I'm actually looking at Bitcoin on the 1 minute. Now, what's interesting here is normally I'd never suggest anyone really take any type of long-term indicator from any type of 1 minute trade. Or it's just very, very difficult to grab any sense of what's going on in the markets when you're looking at 1 minute. So let's roll out to the 1 day. The reason I've been watching Bitcoin in the 1 minute is because there's something been very interesting happening since we hit the $8,300 mark. Now currently I've got the daily chart open on Bitcoin. Now for those of you that joined us in our live stream last night, thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate that. Smash that thumbs up for all of you that already know you enjoy this content. But we actually wanted to go over a few things today. Now, first off, we've got some free indicators that you guys can download on TradingView, but I wanted to look at the idea that we posted last night. So the idea we posted last night was called the first sign of weakness. It's actually a crossover on the Bitcoin 15 minute here. So last night we went live to all of our private Bear Den members and we started talking about this crossover here, this blue and yellow. And it's a little cluttered and it won't actually let me edit this because this was published 19 hours ago. But as you can see, I said as soon as we crossed this $1,500 line, I was looking for a potential return all the way to $5,200. We had seen a lot of stagnant, basically resistance up near the $8,000 mark. So when we didn't break through 8,300 at the top of the volume profile, I started to get a little weary, especially when you're up that high. When you're up that high, everything looks a lot further down. So all of a sudden, as soon as that line crossed, boom, we broke down to our first major trend indicator, which was at 7,200, and now we're headed down to break the $6,800 area. Now, this is why I think the 1 minute becomes increasingly important. Is when you're looking at the daily chart, it's hard to really tell what the hell is going on. You have no real clear indicator for anything that's taking place. So as you start to roll in through the time zones, you get a much clearer picture of what's going on, and from there it's a lot easier to assess the risk. Now again, I think we're actually in quite a risky situation. Now this is why the 1 minute becomes imperative. So here on the hour, as you can see, we're at the very bottom of the bear claw and we haven't been able to get above. We actually broke below the moving average and we tried 1, 2, 3, 4 times there on the hour to get back above it. That's not a very good sign at all. Normally all the other times we had dropped like this in the past, we jumped right back above the moving averages within a few hours. So the fact that we're still on a downwards trend is very interesting. And again, the closer we get into that picture, the more intrigue starts to take place. Again, here at the bottom of the bear claw, all in red, not a little lick of green at all. Actually, here, let me reload the bear claw. I don't know what's going on here. The bear claw seems to have lost some of its colors. Open the bear claw, add to chart. Oh no. That's a little upsetting. I'd set all the colors for the bear claw, and now it's no longer there. I wonder if I wonder if I didn't save the colors. Anyways, that's a little depressing. So for those of you that have downloaded the bear claw, I'm going to update it later today so it has the mid-range colors again. I'm not sure what happened there. But essentially, the mid-range color is right here. I know from looking at this damn bear claw so often, this is about where it runs. And again, if you want to download this particular one, you can go to our TradingView chart here. You can follow us at Arcane Bear. Please do follow us. Actually, we've got 35 followers now. We started publishing here too every now and then because again, it gives us this nice replay. But you just go to our scripts and you can download the Eagle Crossing and the bear claw. Now again, I don't know why the bear claw has changed colors. It's actually showing. See how it's got purple colors here? What happened to my purple colors? I missed those. Anyways, I'm gonna have to try to rebuild this. Yeah, I'm gonna actually rebuild that and then republish it today because you want the colors. It makes it a hell of a lot easier to tell what's going on. So it's actually down at the 1 minute where you really start to see this story unfold at a with more of the minutia of what's going on in the minute-to-minute basis. Again, the reason why I think this is important is because on the 1 hour, you really have no idea. You're pretty much just at the whim of whatever's taking place. Now, in the large time frames, daily trades are the best ones to enter, right? So for instance, if we actually go, well, I'll wait a minute to show you why daily trades are the best to enter, but also why the minute is so important. See on the minute chart here, these little green lines that float around, this is basically a form of what's known as an Ichimoku cloud. It's showing your buy and sell walls. Now these blue lines here, these are also forms of buy and sell indicators. They actually show where there's a fair amount of selling. So right now there's actually a bunch of sale pressure up here at 72.14. So there's a very strong likelihood that we're going to come back and try to bounce out against this 72.14 number. So the reason, again, why this 1 minute is so important is because if we don't break above this and above 73.60, then we're going to continue down further and likely quite quickly. The next line that we have here is set at 68.76, and this is actually one of my alert indicators. So if you're ever trading and you're using TradingView and there's say something you want to know that happens, what you do is basically you roll down to the right hand side here and there's this plus sign. You just hit the plus sign like this. Let's go, because there's a volume chop right here. Go at 69.84, add an alert for Coinbase and BTC to USD. Now as soon as Bitcoin breaks below that, it's going to go beep and let me know. It'll also send me an email or a text message or whatever things you want. Now a big part of the thing that's seems to be on people's minds is, are the markets manipulated? And well, the awkward and kind of unassuming question is yes, all markets are always manipulated. They're manipulated more so by our feelings than anything else. I really think that I don't really worry about manipulation, because if the markets were manipulated, as people are saying, oh, Bitcoin just dropped, who did it? What's the reason? Well, then why was I able to tell 5 hours before it happened that Bitcoin was going to drop based off the previous indicator that we had played out here? If it was manipulation, why would we be able to see any of this? It wouldn't be so clear, and it wouldn't have such a stark interest. I mean, here we go, right? It didn't look manipulated, and all of a sudden you play that out and everyone's like, oh my God, Bitcoin's manipulated, someone's moving the market. And now there's a lot of, I guess, and I'll lean into this a little bit more, I guess with less prejudice, but there's a lot of conjecture around the possibility that Binance as well as Bitfinex were doing something to rig the markets to come up with a different price, essentially to cover the potential losses that they have incurred during being in one of these hacks, essentially. I think it's important to remember that regardless of the manipulation, the technical indicators, especially the closer you get to the minute-to-minute frame, are going to give you this type of advantage. Now, most people don't have this type of time frame, right? So if we want to look at a more interesting time frame, I think the best way to do it is to look at Ravencoin on the daily and go back. And we can use Bitcoin actually too, because most of the trades that are the best, the trades that you really want to stay in, are trades that break out on the daily. And then they stay there for quite a long time. I mean, from Raven, we entered at 400 Satoshis and we exited at 950. That's just absurd. Right? People don't realize how much gain there is while they're too worried about Bitcoin being at 3,000 or 8,000. In the whole time of their worry about 100%, they missed out a 260% gain, which is what we were interested in the whole time. Who gives a shit what Bitcoin was at? It made no difference to me. The fact that it went higher after this was just a beautiful story. So here on the daily, when we broke through the cloud, this was actually a long position that took all the way over here till 1,040 Satoshis to break through the sell signal again. And with Bitcoin, when you look at the daily right now, it's not that far away from this green line turning up, because if you look at the 4 hour, this has already happened. The 4 hour has already been in a short signal since $7,893. These short signals usually last for about the same time frame that they're in. So if we go into the 2 hour, you can see that we are actually still now, as far as I remember, below, we're still on a short for the 2 hour. So basically what I end up doing is rolling through and seeing which clouds have broken through. So on the 1 hour, we're on the short through the actual sell wall and likely coming down to test 67.37. There's a massive amount of support and resistance between 6,700 and 6,800. This is going to be the real crux of the position take, and this is going to be the final place that I put the alert for a sell. Now, I actually sold some Bitcoin last night into True USD. I don't normally do that. The only reason I did that this time at this particular situation is because when that 15-minute EMA, like we showed you, had crossed, it had not done that at all since 5200. And the 15-minute is actually a very strong indicator when you're doing when you're leading out into the other hourly and 4-hour or daily time frames, because again, it gives you that minutia, that real depth of feeling that's taking place in the sentiments of the market. Now, what is crazy here is I started doing a little bit of research. Now, first off, I think everyone should always do as much research as humanly possible. I'm a huge fan of TradingView. There's a bunch of great indicators that they give away from free, but there's also a bunch of great traders. Now, here is one that I read from a guy named Jeff Kahn last night. And what's really interesting about this chart is he also has his lower low coming in at around $1,230, about another, another 110 days away. And what is also interesting is if we look at both the length of the original bull markets, they are longer than the previous bull market. So here you have 742 days and 812. And here you have 630 days, and this would extend out to 714, given the same percentage of change of the bull market to the bear market. So he's predicting here that we actually have a lot longer term of a bear market ahead of us. And I'm not in disagreement with this necessarily. There is still a large possibility that we come down to maybe the $1,200 area. That was still on the table. Although, that decreased as we went to 8,000. And again, it starts to increase as 8,000 broke down. Because what's really interesting here, and what I think is the most ridiculous part that he writes is, and I want to read this to you, you know what's perfect? I kept thinking there's no max, where's the maximum pain scenario? A few weeks have passed by, and here it is. We have it right now. The whales have pumped the price straight through $5,800 to $6,000 without any hurdle. And I'm not the only trader that's surprised by this. And I agree, there are lots of traders that were extremely surprised by this. I know seasoned professional traders who did not see this coming. So what did that do? It inflicted maximum pain on the bears. Now imagine being short on Bitcoin. What would this parabolic move have done to you? Brutal, right? Now I'm going to keep reading here from him because I think his sentiment is really, really interesting. It says, so let's talk about the bulls. Basically, Bitcoin may have not even capitulated yet. I mean, I just love people and markets, how everything falls into place on its own. It's really magical, or unreal to say the least. When I started trading 7 years ago, I was like, no way this is going to happen for long. It's going to die out. I said to myself, people are going to learn and they're going to fix their mistakes and they'll be prepared next time. But no, every time we saw the herd making moves, they make the same mistakes over and over again. I guess the markets never run out of suckers. Still, I find this very difficult to believe. Like, how can this happen over and over again? Anyways, I digress. People are talking about the Bitcoin having bottomed at 3,300 when I don't even think it's capitulated yet. So let's talk about the bulls. For a few long green bars, everybody was excited to be back at it again. As in fact, so excited that sentiment has not ever been this positive since the last parabolic run in 2017 and 2018. Both of the NVTs and MFIs are maxing out at their highs in Bitcoin's entire history. This is the highest these indicators have been in all of Bitcoin's history, right? So let's sink that in for a minute. At a time when all these indicators are screaming sell, 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 people are all unconcerned and buying hand over fist thinking Bitcoin, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm actually adding this, will go to $10,000 by the weekend, says Bitcoin Schmen. So if that's talking about their, here we go, it says people are, even everyone and their cousin is talking about a potential move of $20,000 to Bitcoin or a new all-time high by the end of the year. These are the exact things that are very worrisome, that this is exactly what the top usually looks, sounds, and feels like. Now imagine a maximum pain scenario where these people have loaded up here at this top, and then again the price falls down somewhere between $1,800 and $1,200 in the months ahead. Yeah, it would be devastating, but that's what we need for the trend to reverse. And I've been saying this for a while now, and those who have been doing around the 2014 and 15 area can relate. It doesn't feel like when price bottomed. And I agree. I said that many times. I didn't feel the anger and pain that we normally get from people. We still had a lot of schleps in the marks who were dong-dongs and flong-flongs and flim-flams, right? And you don't want that. You want to get rid of all the flam-flams and flim-flommers because they get removed with the pain. They'll come back out when the sun's clear and the gopher has seen his shadow. But until then, anyways, I'm going to continue reading this. And there's two other really strong traders that I follow, and I'm like basically conversing back and forth with here that have the same sentiment. It says this did not feel like the bottom. It says you're going to see more the Bitcoin's dead at those times, and the bubble popped or the Ponzi collapsed, or so be on your toes. And I agree. You have people like Kevin O'Leary, who's getting on TV talking with Anthony Pompliano, talking about it being a Ponzi scheme. And maybe if without that other pop, we need to get rid of that sentiment entirely. So what they have to start saying that, oh, look, it's pop. See, we told you it was a Ponzi scheme. They're just telling us it is a Ponzi scheme. Well, it's going up. So these are contradictory. Also, the Magic Poop Cam, and shout out to them. I follow both. These are the only two people that I actually actively follow. So if you want, you can follow them by following me on TradingView too. And I'm going to read you the same sentiment here. Here's basically the S-curve that Bitcoin had been following, and I'm going to read a few of the things that Magic Poop Cannon has laid out here. And again, one of the reasons why I think this is actually, I'm going to read this to you as I leave the Bitcoin chart open on this screen so that you can actually see both. So one sec here. I'll get you guys the chart that we're actually looking at right now. And this is, okay, so both of these traders are seasoned professionals. They've been trading for over 10 years, right? I've been trading for like maybe 6, maybe 7. I started buying my first things in around 2015 in the stock market. Bitcoin I've owned since 2012, 2013, but I'd never traded. I just bought it and walked away. So here we're looking at Magic Poop Cannon's little chart here. And his drop looks for a low of 25.82, whereas our previous gaff was looking for around 1,200. His line's down here, 1174 to 2200. Again, so what we want to do is keep an open mind to any possibility. That's the whole point of being a good trader and not a bad hodler. I mean, again, look, dollar cost averaging in, there's a lot of great ways to be a good investor. To just say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to take the investment route. I'm going to buy every 2 or 3 months $1,000, whether it's at 10,000 or whether it's at 1,000, it doesn't really matter because I'm just going to keep doing that. And if that's your strategy, that's your strategy. You follow that, you do that. Everyone needs to come up with their own strategy. But for me, I'm interested in being a better trader. I don't want to just be a better investor. I mean, there's great ways to be better investors, and we're currently working on a bunch of ways to do that, but it's a lot longer of a time frame. And I'm here every day. I love watching these charts, and I love being up to date with it minute by minute because I learn so much. So here's what I'm going to read to you from about this chart. So moving forward, what we're taking a look at is the weekly Bitcoin chart. And in this study, I have compared the signals that are giving the weekly money flow index, also known as the MFI, versus the weekly network value transactions, or the NVT. Starting from the left side of the chart, you can see there's a massive spike that pushed the MFI above the horizontal line. Here, and now again here. So these are the trend lines of the horizontal that happened around the late of May 2011. Back here, this was originally when Bitcoin topped out around $18, again at 144, again at 1080. And look, it did not even happen for the MFI at this particular point at $20,000. And so the money flow index is a very important one here because it's only happened at certain tops. So moving forward, what has happened here is the MFI has basically hit the exact top, and its 93.48% corrections followed just afterwards. So moving forward now, we're going to focus on the MFI spikes above 96.5%, which correlate to sell signals on the NVT, as you can see here below. They also line up perfectly. Again, here we have the NVT down at the bottom, bang, and these very sharp spikes upwards, bang. Here, when we were at around 5,000, we didn't have that sharp spike yet, and it also didn't correlate with the MFI. So again, shout out to Mr. Poop Cannon or whatever for this one. This is actually a great sentiment that I hadn't noticed, was these two aligning factors. So if we dive in, I'm going to continue reading this. He says, again, in November 2013, Bitcoin printed an MFI reading above 96.5 while simultaneously printing the red sell signal on the NVT. These two signals combined occurred at the exact top again, and that was in 2013. We have not seen this happen again since November 2013. So fast forward today, we are seeing this exact same signal. The NVT is flashing red, while the MFI is also above the 96.5 level. Historically speaking, and this is just historically speaking, or I guess again, I've argued against history, 8 years is not enough, but in the last 8 years of Bitcoin's price signals, these signals have only occurred at the exact tops, and I believe that we could have been topped out here too. However, I want to take this a little further because honestly, this has this, and I agree. What I love about here is this makes so much sense to me, is that it makes no fucking sense. None of this made sense when we broke through $6,000 like that. It just didn't make any sense. That's why there's so much speculation about the potential of manipulation here. He says, this made no sense to me from an analytical perspective. First off, Bitcoin blasted right through what should have been an enormous resistance around the $6,000 range, and it moved through like it didn't even exist. We said the exact same thing. Secondly, Bitcoin has touched the bottom of the rising blue arc here. Oh, right here. Every time before, right? So that's still a long ways away, the bottom of that blue arc, right? So now that I know something has to happen. So, please know that this isn't something that has to happen. Bitcoin does not have to go down to touch the morphic line in any way to produce what we're looking for. But this would have been more fitting, and we would have a much better idea of what's going on if we touch the bottom of this arch. Also, the cyclicality of Bitcoin is perfectly linear, at least up to so far, which is something that I've talked to in length about in the past. This linear cyclicality suggests that we are about to see an absolute low close to October. This is because the market cycles are increasing over time. So for Bitcoin, just to enter a bull market here, that would violate the increasing duration of market cycles, and not to mention the fact that we have seen huge historical sell signals in the background. Now, I've put some very deep thought into what could possibly produce an organic bull market, and here I agree with his sentiments exactly. Although, while deviating from the aforementioned data in Bitcoin has produced thus far a derailment of the linear movements, my conclusion is simply that by following the beginning of the organic bull market, the massive influx of institutional investors, futures, quant trading, desks, high-frequency trading, artificial intelligence, everything else that is new to this space is possibly the reason why we've been forced to these new highs to deviate from that beautiful technical pattern that we had printed every date up to so far. I've been analyzing charts for over a decade, and I have never seen an asset that has a cyclical expansion that is totally linear. Only Bitcoin. Yet Bitcoin's expansion has been exactly linear, and this is the beginning of the bull market. So if this is the beginning of the bull market, it's breaking that linear expansion, and well, here, I'm probably losing some of you, so let me not go too far. I definitely think we're going to see a severe pullback soon, although there is a high probability that the top is in. This may not be the case. We're looking at these on smaller time frames, and again, this could be a near 70% fall. Everyone is extremely bullish, filled with greed, irrationally exuberant, and these are all very bad signs, or good ones to know that you're at the top. Those are the reasons why I do not trust the notion that the bull market has begun, and if it corrects down to the 50 EMA or the 6,000 level and holds that support, well then we will see. But right now, I see extremely accurate indicators up to date that sell signals tell a very, very different story. Anyways, I agree with these sentiments at large as well, and this is why I wanted to share them, is because you have two other traders who have over a decade of experience each in the trading world that are going, this doesn't look good. And they both aim somewhere between 2,800 and 1,200. For A, the length of the bear market got longer because so did the length of the bull market. And this has happened every time. So if we're going by the things that we think have happened every time, and people are like, oh yeah, well, we never broke through the EMA. It's like, well, yeah, but there's a bunch of other indicators that happened every time that weren't aligned with that particular EMA. So it really comes down to the strength of your understanding. I think it's all about looking at the minute-to-minute minutia as well, because that's where you're going to learn the best. So I think Bitcoin is actually still breaking down, and I think over the next few hours, well, I have a date tonight, so I'm not going to be online with you guys, because Tio is motherfucking happy and has a date. Anyways, so we're looking very, very closely at the 7,100 mark here. Again, I exit part of my Bitcoin trade position back into TUSD, so at 8,300, so I was up around 10%. Oh no, actually it was a little lower than that. It was around 8 and then 75. Anyway, so I'm up a little bit on that one, so I was super stoked to see that come through. Obviously, I normally never bet against Bitcoin. I never think anyone should ever bet against Bitcoin. It's probably the worst thing you can do. But this is a really easy way to see what's taking place on the short term. And if, like I said, if you happen to be interested in trading and not just investing and not just dollar cost averaging in, you might be able to save yourself a huge pretty penny. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to leave Bitcoin chart open here. Oh, boom, there's the signal that we crossed 69.84. So this is the first area that we wanted to keep an eye on for the breakthrough. So we might see this actually start to collapse while we're online with you guys, and that would be really, really fun. Shalom Dunn's apparently a retard. We never gave any sell advice at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What the fuck are you talking about? You get a timeout for being an idiot. I hate people that can't listen. Seriously, it's just not worth it. If you guys aren't willing to open your ears, look, I do this every day. I'm looking at like minute-to-minute charts. Things change very quickly. So if I'm going through an hour-long stream and I say something and you miss that, and you think that I've told you to sell, because first off, none of this is financial advice. What the hell are you doing? I'm just sharing information of different things that you can look at to help you make better judgments. If you think it's just going to run to 10K, you go right ahead. You keep buying Bitcoin, and you'll see what happens, right? Maybe it just keeps going up, but it's important to understand strategy. People that talk like Shalom Dunn have no strategy, and it's probably their first time ever having any money. Or ever getting into any type of business. I have no idea what they're doing here, but you can trust the fact that when people speak like that, they really don't have a whole lot of clue what they're talking about. Anyways, the reason why that's obvious is because no one should ever tell you what to do with your money, right? That's your decision. Now, like I said, my buy entries I had at 3,300 to 4,200, 22 to 28, and 1,200 to 1,600. So what I had said was, and I've said this over and over and over again, my strategy was if I had $10,000, or whatever, right? Because you guys had asked me what my strategy was, and if I were to share it, I would go 33.3 at each of those entries, and I would go, that's it. And I would be happy with no matter what happened, because to me, it is smarter to have less emotional stress and trade wisely. Also, if you think this is the only way you're going to make a few $1 million, you fucking suck at business. There's like a ton of ways to make a bunch of money. Why would you be so caught up in thinking, oh my God, I missed Bitcoin at $3,000, like that's the end, life's over for me. If that's where you're at, you suck. You need to go learn how to do some other shit in life. Like, Jesus Christ, get a job. Anyways, I'm gonna stay super stoked, but the point of this is what we want to do is keep a really close eye on the markets, because when they start to pivot, we're going to see it. Just like we saw in the 15-minute mark last night, as soon as it made that move downwards. Now again, this is, I'm not here giving like, outlooks for the next 3 months. This was 15 minutes. This is on a 15-minute chart. That means any of the candles in any direction over the next 15 minutes could close and ruin what the fuck it is I just said. That's why it's important to constantly repeat over and over again your ability to learn what is happening in these markets, and all it takes is your ability to look at information without sounding like people like Shalom Dunn that are emotionally invested and sound like FUD or FOMO in either direction anytime that it's going. All we're doing is looking at possibilities and potentials. Look, we said the potential that when we were up here, that Bitcoin could run to 10,000, but I was very worried that it wouldn't, because it was starting to we found more resistance here than anywhere else. And as soon as we went red on the 15-minute EMA, bang, we dropped back down. Now a big question in everyone's mind is going to be, where's that rest of that 30% drop? Because historically when Bitcoin goes red like that, it does at least 30%, which would bring us down to the $5,600 area. Anyways, I hope that's been informative. Like I said, we'll keep on here for a little bit. I've got a message I'm going to answer because, like I said, Tiho's got a beautiful date, and I'm super happy. So she just sent me a message. So let's see what she says. Just keep an eye on the Facebooks or the Bitcoin charts here. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, cool. Makes me feel happy. Tio's a happy man when that stuff happens. I don't care what Bitcoin price is doing, but when I got a sweet date, Tio is a happy man. Okay. Let's take a look. Do we grow hemp? Yes. You can actually legally grow marijuana in Costa Rica. You can grow up to 8 fucking plants, I believe, as of 2 years ago. Super cool. Is that an inverse cup and handle? No, I don't. I would never chart a reverse cup and handle. Plus, also for whoever asked that, I can't see your name right now. Please note that a cup and handle takes at least 3 weeks for that time frame to continue outwards. So that would be. This is not a cup and handle in any way. It's not nowhere near the length and the time frame that you would want. Could we end up with a double top here within the head and shoulders? Okay, so what's really interesting? This is not a head. This is definitely not a head. What we're seeing, sorry, I want to turn this down here because I'm going to probably get a few more messages come through. This is not a head. A head is characterized by a very sharp point. So this is not a head and shoulders in any way. What I do think could happen, and for those of you that are in the private bear den, I do have speculation that we're going to run back up here really quickly at 772 on the 15-minute EMA to test that. If we don't, I think it's going to break from this triangle here too, right around 7,000. I think we're going to run up to test around 7,800 and then probably continue downwards. Now that's going to be the real definitive part. Again, if we go up here and we break through this, then that has basically denied us that idea. So I'm not going to make an idea in an assessment of the risk until these things play out. I don't go ahead and try to predict in the future. I watch every day, like if you know, I've got a screen over here so I can watch while I'm like working out or while I'm cooking, this kind of thing. You know, it's the best way for you got to find out your best case scenario. So even though I think Bitcoin's going to go to trillions of dollars, and that's why I think probably the safest assessment for someone to make is just dollar cost average in every week, whatever you can. If it's at 10 grand a day, buy $100 this week. If it's at $1,000 tomorrow, buy $100 this week, or whatever's best for you. None of this is trading advice, but people need to find a way so they don't sound like Shalom Dunn, which just talk a lot of FOMO. You know, if you've never made any money, that's what it's going to sound like. It's going to be a really, really difficult process to understand, well, oh my God, I didn't get it at $3,000. It's like my last chance to ever make money again. That's just, those are words of someone who has never done well or has not yet done well. So if they're doing well now, they might not be able to keep it because they have no idea what they're saying. So a big part of what I want to do here is, first off, please, everyone know that technical analysis is not a form of a predictive model. It just gives you leading indicators for where everything might be going. And you can use those to your advantage if you happen to do something like I like to do, or just really pay attention and learn from all these beautiful charts that are taking place. I'm not emotionally invested. I'm not thinking to myself, oh my God, if only I could have bought more Bitcoin when it was at $3,000. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna go and have a date with like a ridiculously hot woman tonight. I'm gonna cook dinner. We're gonna play music. Like, who gives a shit what Bitcoin is at right now? Like, ain't gonna change any of that. Like, I'm feeling damn good, right? So who cares? That's where everyone would want to get to, is a place where like, okay, well, I understand that this is a very long life, or at least I hope it is for all of you. So I see a few guys, you're asking questions. What are the red and green blocky indicators form pivot points? Those are basically a form of a buy and sell cloud. These are part of an indicator that you can pay for in TradingView. It's $50 a month. Anyways, we're bringing in someone who writes on TradingView as well. So wondering if the date with Single Girl was talking about a few days ago. Yes, it was. She's coming over for a second time. I'm feeling fantastic. Date number 2. Is this a move? Is this what the kids do nowadays? Do you think if I do this, more kids will follow us? Or the needle, or what the fuck does the gamers do? Anyways, you guys get the point. So you guys are talking about 4K, 5K. I love when people say 4K, no way. That's actually a leading indicator that it's very possible. As soon as someone says something's impossible, you can start to put bets on the possibility of it then. Because Bitcoin, it was impossible for Bitcoin to go to $4,000 when it was $6,000, and we had said it would do it multiple times. We got people giving us shit for it over and over again, like, oh my God, the miners won't be profitable, it won't make any sense, blah blah blah. Anyways, so here you guys keep asking about 5K, and depression will happen. I think back down to 5K would actually just be a healthy retrace, and even if we are in a bull, could be potentially in a bull market. I don't think that we are. We're gonna find out. That was a huge bull run though. God damn, that was not what I was expecting. Up to the $6,000 area, we expected that. We knew that would happen as soon as we started to move down from 6,000. We knew we would come back to 6,000, and we didn't know how long or what exactly would happen to get there, but we knew that would happen on the B wave. What we didn't expect was the blow straight through 6 grand to 8K. But this is a sign of hugely irrational, exuberant behavior in these markets, and they represent probably the immature kind of people like Shalom, which is, oh my God, if you didn't get in now, it's like what are you talking about? If you're new, let's say you're 20 years old, right? You got no money, or maybe you're just learning to get into this space. The best thing you can work on right now is personal development. Don't give a shit what anyone says, and listen to as many people as possible that are more intelligent than you are. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it at this. Keep an eye on it. You guys see the indicators. I'll run you through this one more time. I'm gonna go get ready because I got a date here in an hour. Coming over early. Super stoked. You guys, can you tell how fucking excited I am? I'm like a little schoolboy or something. I'm like, oh my God, it's Christmas. I get to unwrap. Like, do I get to unwrap any presents today? Anyway, so here we go. I've got my alert set at 6,800 and then 6,739. Again, if we break below 6,700 on that one, we'll probably come down. So again, what I'm expecting here is a slight ABC retracement. Let's just actually use the ABC. I think an ABC, something like this. Oh, what's happened here? A, B. Probably like this. That's my guess at the current moment. So let's go publish. Maybe even make it a more like that, a complex E wave. Again, we'll have to keep your eyes on it closely. I'm going to actually probably be picking it up because I think the irrational, exuberant behavior of people like Shalom Dunn are going to give me the ability to pull off another few percentage gain here. And then I think we're going to see that drop 10% too. That represented 10%, 20%, 10 on either side. Anyways, keep this chart open. Please follow us on TradingView if you guys want. Go down to the links below in our channel that you can see. You can download the Bear Claw, which is this nice colorful indicator that we have here. We also have the Eagle Crossing. Again, you can check out Jeffy Khan. Oh, I didn't follow him. As well as the Magic Poop Cannon. They have great sentiments too. And like I said, guys, just try to get as many viewpoints as possible. Don't just take one person that suits what you think is going to happen and go with that. And then again, remember, you can download the scripts. Must give us a like. Look, we already have 50 people that like this Bear Claw. I love it too. I want all those colors back. I hope I didn't actually ruin my own personal indicator. Look at all these beautiful purples. It's just such a sexy indicator. Anyways, you can download all these for free. If those of you that are interested in joining the private Bear Telegram and newsletter, it's $30 a month. It's cheaper if you pay for the entire year. We do accept Bitcoin and Litecoin and all that stuff as well. You can sign up for that by going to arcanebear.com/club. Check out our website. You can join our private or our free newsletter as well. We just try to basically douse everyone in as much useful information as possible. Again, you can never learn enough in this space, especially if you're interested in being here for a long time. And I am definitely interested in a long road with my positions. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. Remember to smash those thumbs up. Do all those fun things like remember to tell your loved ones that they're important to you. Hell, even tell someone that you just met that they're important to you and that you appreciate the way they've made your day better, as I'm going to be doing to someone that I hang out with this afternoon. Again, anything else I can think of that I should probably say, I will think of and say later. And hey, maybe if things are going kind of rough and tumbly fun, maybe Annie and I will do a live stream. She got all excited about Bitcoin when I started to tell her how it worked and what it was. So that's like a keeper. Even if it's not for me, that's a keeper. So everyone, if your women start to like Bitcoin and libertarianism, you better put a ring on that fast. We'll see you guys on the side. Thank you so much for watching with us today. This is Tio and the Arcane Bear. Dupe. You can sign up Telegram, Instagram, likes, views, You know the drill.